In this video, we're going to take some time to talk about the Action 4 versus the brand new Action 6 by DJI. Both of these cameras have a lot to offer. There are some features of the Action 6 that the Action 4 doesn't have. We're going to take a look at some video that I captured while hiking in the mountains in Alberta. We'll talk about some of the biking content, and I'll show you some comparisons between biking with the Action 4 and Action 6. I've got some side-by-side footage. We'll also take a look at some interior footage, some that's really well lit and some that's poorly lit, so you can compare the performance of the Action 4 versus the Action 6. Right off the hop, I'll tell you that the Action 4 has far more contrast between light and darkness. You can see a bigger difference in the shadows with the Action 4 than you can with the Action 6. The Action 6 has far more HDR, so what that means is poorly lit areas, which would normally show up as contrasty shadows with the Action 4. With the Action 6, those shadows are brightened up and you can see more detail in the shaded areas. That can be a positive and a negative depending how you look at it. One thing I do enjoy about it is for mountain biking content when you're going through a low sun scenario, so the sun is casting a lot of shadows over the trail in the trees. The Action 6 will brighten up those shadows so it's not so flashy. It doesn't blind you every time you go into the light. One other big difference with this footage, and we'll take a closer look at it when we're looking at the comparison side by side. When you're looking at the sun with the Action 6 versus the Action 4, if you're hiking towards it or biking towards it, the Action 4 will be flared out and blown out by the sun. So if the sun is right in front of you, you will not be able to see very well from the camera's footage. With the Action 6, when the sun is facing directly at the camera, it creates a lens flare, but it's easier to see the footage. I'll make it more clear by showing you the video on the computer. On the Action 4, there's no custom icons to add to these preset modes that you create. It makes it a little bit harder to remember what you've put on these modes, and if you haven't filmed for a little while, it's even harder. With the Action 6, you can add icons to differentiate between the different modes. Small quality of life improvement. On top of that, there's also a super night mode, a portrait mode, which gives you a more linear look to the photo. It's a little bit flatter. There's also a subject tracking mode that we're going to talk about a little bit later in this video. I'd say it's pretty clear in this video that there's an absolute difference between these two cameras. The Action 6 is far more bright, there's less noise, and it seems to capture the subject a little bit better. You can notice the cat's colors and the spots don't show up so well in the Action 4. Just happen to be in a low light situation. Both are wide, rock steady, 4K, 30 frames.
All right, I wanted to go out for a more rowdy ride. But out towards the mountains there, everything is covered in snow.
I definitely noticed in the first clip that the sun looks so much better on the Action 6 than it does in the Action 4. And I also noticed in this scene that there's more detail in the snow as I'm riding over it in the Action 6 rather than the Action 4.
Now both cameras are totally in dad mode. Absolutely just running off their automatic settings. Let's see how they do in this well-lit section with a lot of shadows. And let's see how they do in the woods too. Side by side, I like the Action 4, it looks pretty good. But from what I've seen so far on the internet, the Action 6 looks like it's got brighter colors and more saturation, a little bit punchier.
I definitely like the colors on the Action 4 better than the Action 6 in this scene. It seems like the blues are bluer and the straw grass is a little bit of a warmer color. Of course, you can fix this all if you film in D-Log, and you can fix it in post.
Typically, you can see the mountains over that way. It's a little hazy, a little cloudy over that direction.
The Action 6 is a lot less contrasty in the shadows. You can see more detail on the ground than you can in the Action 4. And one other thing I do like is you can see the riverbed a lot nicer in the Action 6. it seems that with the HDR, it's brightened up a lot. You can see more of the river. I absolutely love the camera on this phone. It looks so cinematic on this panning shot, and I thought I would include it so we can compare the footage on this phone versus the footage on those action cams.
Probably can't tell from the footage, but this is pretty steep. You're looking directly into the ground when you're hiking up here.
This section is an audio test of each action camera. You're going to see which one has better wind reduction. I'm going to indicate on the screen which one we're listening to and hear for yourself. It's definitely the Action 6 that's better.
The shutter button on the Action 4 feels better than the shutter button on the Action 6. It's a little thing, but it's got a more positive click.
So far, all the clips that we've been looking at has been with the horizon balance on. This clip is with the ultra wide mode, which is really good for action sports like mountain biking, but it can also look pretty okay on hiking. There is some warp to it, but I think it looks overall pretty good. I like the colors of the Action 6 a little bit better than the Action 4. So the Action 6 has a portrait mode, and that makes it a little bit flatter and a little bit closer. The Action 4 looks great in its linear or de-warped mode, but I'd say that the Action 6 is a little bit more true to life in terms of color. It also raises up the detail and the color of the ground behind me. I think they both look great, but I prefer the Action 6 over the Action 4 in this case. I know neither of these cameras are meant to be photo cameras, but it's neat to look at how different the pictures are. The Action 6 seems to be a little bit zoomed in, the Action 4 a little bit wider. I definitely prefer the Action 6. Both these cameras look amazing, but I definitely prefer the Action 6 overall. Now let's take a look at another feature that I think is super cool.
So this camera has a subject tracking mode, which will follow you as you walk by. It's meant to make it look like you have somebody else who's helping you film. And the cool thing is you can hook up your DJI Mic Mini and you can use the Mic Mini to start the recording. I had recently done a video where I was setting up a tent and reviewing the tent, and I had my camera up on a tripod, and you could tell that it's on a tripod because nothing is moving. But with this mode, it almost looks like there's somebody who's filming you. So it makes it more of a dynamic shot. And it helps for B-roll on those walkthrough shots. And I think this is really cool. I was gonna get a gimbal, but now I know I don't have to get a gimbal. I can just use this camera.